And we are live.
Good evening, welcome to another scene for Odessa the Dark Crusade. Tonight we open the scene in a less than homely arena, not the large fighting pits of commonplace, because with the recent plague and troubles the city has been facing, the larger pits are unoccupied, but this brawl is taking place in a smaller venue. A medium-sized crowd has gathered to wager coin on the fighters present, one of which is Thorvald. Thorvald's benefactor, Nazim, is in the audience. And throughout the course of several hours, it's become apparent to Madeline that Thorvald is absent from his usual duties, absent from the haven that they share, and absent from any studying he might have promised to do. And he's brought himself here to the place where he began testing his strength and agility. So, where did Madeline like to begin?
I'm assuming there hasn't been an invitation to this place.
No, but I think if she asked, um, she would be told that he went in this direction.
Then she will probably seek out this place. She will be accompanied by two guys who looks like some sort of monks, nondescript. They're not showing any colors of any order or anything.
When you enter the building, the smell is unpleasant. It's sweat and blood and sand mixed in together. There's various jeers from the crowd. A few people turn around. It doesn't seem like. Well, there are women here. None really in comparison to Madeline. So your entrance does gain some notice, especially from a gentleman who is very heavily shawled. You can just about see his dark brown eyes from the other side of the room. He watches you very intently, even past the fight that Thorwald's taking part in.
Hmm. Madeline just stands, watches Thorwald, quite intently watches Thorwald fight. And she is flashing a smile. And she will find a place to sit, and what you can still see.
The man isn't. The man that Thorwald fights isn't as big as Thorwald, but he's very. It's clear that he's very strong. He's stocky, shaven-headed, and Thorwald's putting in the effort to take the blows convincingly, even though they do not mark him. He seems adept at performing to make the fight look convincing. One, there is a moment when Madeline moves to go and sit down that Thorvald's attention is caught by her appearance, and he turns to look at her, taking his eye off his opponent, And in so he's knocked to the floor. You see him grip into the sand, the blow seeming to cause him anger. His eyes narrow as he stands back to his feet, baring not his fangs but his teeth, and then delivers 4 blows to his opponent, 2 in the ribs with the audible crack of bones, and 1 to the jaw, and then another to the stomach. There's a sickening sound. Blood and breaking cartilage as the opponent falls to the floor. Thorvald stands over him, still wrapped in apparent rage. Not quite the beast, but somewhere in it. It seems that there's an exchange of coin between the cloaked man and some patrons in the audience, some of which is thrust into Thorwald's palm. And the cloaked man makes his way, slowly stepping over the body of the fallen opponent and across the room through the sand. His eyes still rather intent on Madeline, even as he walks through.
She's watching intently. She's taking in all of the sights and sounds of this place. She's not too familiar with a place like this. But yeah, she just waits to see if Torvald is coming out of the arena or if he's fighting another person.
He comes up to you. He climbs some wooden steps, crude, arena-like seating. And looks at you.
You'll see that she very politely curtsies. A great fight.
Almost lost.
Almost being the most important word. I was wondering how long you intend to stay in this place.
I have my money. Did you require my services?
Well, I must say I was intrigued to see such a place. She just whispers to you, I do not think that they would appreciate me trying to get into the ring, but oh well.
I think they might, but I wouldn't allow it.
Would you introduce me? She just gestures over to Nassim. A friend of yours?
Friend of my sire's.
Ah, I see. A family connection?
No. We came across him more travels towards Odessa. Messiah approves of his business mind.
I see.
He is not one of us, so not a threat and such. But he is aware of our existence.
Ah, I see.
I believe he partakes of the blood.
It is to be expected.
Thord makes sure when he's talking to Madeline, he does kneel to her. You can almost feel Nazim's eyes burning on you. And he takes a sort of more rigid position next to her when he comes out of the kneeling position. I had some things I wanted to work out in the ring.
As good a way as others. I believe that they suit you. It is something you are quite familiar with.
There's always a fight to be had.
Indeed,
even in
there
these
is.
dark times.
She looks over to Nassim and just nods. Indeed, there is. Now, if you are done here, well, if you have other things, if you need to speak to someone, that is quite all right, but I would not mind if you were to meet me at home.
I will come with you.
Very well. And as the two will just get going. The streets are somewhat unsafe, but you'll notice that these two guys that are with you, they kind of like you've seen them around, not that much, but you have seen them around. They keep a little bit of a distance, but it's quite clear that they're pretty much in line. Like you don't get the same, not as much like jealous look as some ghouls can have when they look at certain other kindred getting too close. That doesn't seem to be a thing. Like they just watch and look somewhat mean, and yeah, they follow you home. And Madeline will just, as she gets home, she will just say, "Oh, as you know, Timaran is by the order of the prince. Well, barred. And Tree is barred from, well, kindred. She would say canine, canites, and kind. However, I have been allowed to, if you are regularly tested from the plague, I will have to work out. If you do not feed on anyone while in Timuran, and you are escorted by me, I have been given permission to have you enter. This will make some things quite a lot easier, but it is imperative that we keep the rules. There's a very good reason for the good Prince Ulrich to be selective in who he allows into his city.
As you're talking, Thorwald's gone over to a bowl with water in it, and he starts cleaning off his various bits of blood and all sorts attached to him. He also takes a blade and applies it to his face to clean away some of the stubble.
Oh, and I must thank you. Last night's lessons were rewarding in a different way for the both of us, in many different ways, but it is rare that I find someone who is willing to understand what teaching involves and do what is required.
Seems to me that you've had quite a few lessons in your history.
Oh?
That he looks at her in a way that he hasn't looked at her before. He does sort of look at her a bit, a different kind of intensity. It's a little bit of a bubble to it.
Well. You are referring to my graceful etiquette? She she has a coy smile on her face that's she knows that's obviously not what you're trying to insinuate. She walks closer, walks in front of you. Or perhaps my stunning and really beautiful eyes you are referring to.
He reaches out with the blade in his hand and he puts it under her chin with the flat so that he doesn't do her any damage, but he just sort of lifts her chin slightly. The eyes of the beast is something that only a Gango could teach you.
And so is this. They are inside at this point, and as she just very gently puts her fingers on the blade, you will notice that her fingers begin to elongate and they begin to become, let's say, bestial, to say the least. Like, they become longer and they become point.
Thorvald takes a step back and he throws the blade at the wall. Making a slight sound.
Does this unnerve you?
If any
Frighten
of my clan were to find out that you knew these things, you would be executed.
No, I wouldn't. Do you know why?
He shakes his head slightly.
It was the price paid for the life of one of your clan. I spared the life of one of your clan. Well, me and Ulrich did both. By all rights, the person should be met with final death. We gave him the courtesy of sparing his life. That was one of the payments. We were allowed. I show you this because I trust you. Would people be angry? Most definitely. Most definitely.
And yet you keep putting me in difficult positions.
I do.
Why?
If your strong purpose, son, is not challenged, if not is not pushed to the very limit, that strong person will not learn. If things are not pushed to the breaking point and perhaps beyond it, if one is not once in a while betrayed by those one, perhaps by the ones who she trusts, or by herself, or by her betters, she will not learn. I tell you this, although it is dangerous. I know that if it is known, then I was a fool to trust you. But I do.
I'm the one that feels the fool.
How so?
He goes and takes the blade out of the wall, sort of putting it back down. I let my temper get the better of me. It's not common.
Hmm. There are those who say that a quick temper is not helped by us having the beast with us. I would say that temper is a somewhat normal thing for kindred and kind. I am honestly a little bit more concerned with those kindred who display no passion, no temper at all. If nothing bothers them, if nothing gets boil their blood boiling, when can you truly have they truly mastered themselves? Or do you not know what will set them off? A frightening prospect.
I didn't think that there was anything that could move me any longer. But here I am enraged.
Tell me.
Enraged with petty, childish jealousy.
Hmm. Why? Jealousy how? That I have what your clan has?
No. That my logic tells me that I have not been your first teacher, which is an ideal I can accept. However, what disturbs me, he looks at her bestial hands. From your rate, I will likely not be your last.
Hmm. Ah, she just says. Her hands return to normal, and she just goes over to him and just says, hmm, I have met one or two men who have had it like you. I believe I can understand. She nods slowly. She's thinking. While that may be true, I would not hope it for you or for myself that we would be each other's last teacher and student. One can only grow stronger. One can only learn more by seeing other perspectives, finding other people, other teachers and students. What is there to be jealous about? If you simply tell yourself that no one is taking anything away from you if they become my student or teacher. What we have does not diminish in value, does it? The fact that I will have more teachers and more students, does this diminish what we have? Does this diminish that I enjoy your company very much and you enjoy mine?
He reaches out and puts his hand on her face slightly. No. I am an adaptive creature. If there's something I want, I will adapt until I have it. I'm just not used to feeling this way.
Hmm.
It is uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable because it is something you have very little experience with. Uncomfortable because it is strange, it is something new. As when you were burned by the hot iron, when you burned me. Such new things. Do not shy away from them. Do not apologize from them, but embrace them and learn from them. Do not be afraid that there are things that you react to in this way.
How far did your lessons take you?
Quite far.
Can you change your shape?
No. But I have been blessed in another way. I can sleep in my most treasured place in this world. That is something I truly appreciate.
He tilts his head curiously.
When the township, Timaran, was built, there is in addition to the castle, there is a garden, quite elaborate and quite beautiful, quite large. It was built for me. Ulrich wanted me as seneschal, and well, he knows me well, so gifted me this garden. I spend a lot of time contemplating there. It is quite rewarding work. I can sleep in that place now, with my seeds, with my, well, with the garden I tend.
There's something about the women of this city and gardens. You all seem to like to nurture seeds.
It would seem so, yes.
How do you propose I undergo these tests?
Mm. I do believe that as far as I know, the Salubri or the Assamites can test you, if I remember correctly. It is something that I will just follow up on. I merely wished to inform you that you will be able to enter the city soon. I do not wish for you to simply stay here. There should be some other privileges, being my student, than just simply to spend time with me.
It will be liberating not to be confined to this space.
Quite so.
To be able to go where you go.
Hmm. Well, I hope it will come soon. I will make some arrangements, but it should not take long.
Perhaps one day I will learn to master the darkness.
Hmm. That
The
will
corner of
take.
his lip sort of goes into a smirk.
Hmm. Nothing is impossible. However, there are quite a few things that the blood can teach you, but certain things are require more of a background in certain things. I'm afraid this my clan's discipline. If you were ever able to allowed from my clan to be taught in it, which might happen with work and effort, it requires understanding of quite a few things to be able to use it. But
I have not witnessed it, but I hear it's terrifying.
it is strange. It took me a while to understand myself, but my upbringing in the cloister and my willingness to use my gifts of reading, writing, made me, well, Also, apparently my head is not as empty as some would think. I was able to learn quite a few things quite fast.
Beauty and brains are rarely symbiotic.
Well, that is true. I guess that makes, and she just looks at him, the two of us quite lucky, no?
I do not think there is much comparison.
Hmm. Boy, I must say you have a certain brutal charm. It must be something with women and scars on men. I cannot tell. Whatever it is working for you.
So it seems.
Hmm. Regardless. Certain books must be really understood, and quite a few things must be learned before one can undertake this journey. As I have tried to explain to people before. But
Well,
patience is a virtue, I suppose.
we have time.
Yes, yes, we do.
I'm not in any haste to speed up our lessons.
Good. Contemplation on what one learns is a important part of it. Besides, our kind tends to need perhaps a little bit more time to learn certain things. But we will get to that.
Some lessons are clearer than others,
Quite true.
he says with a sort of an intent.
Hmm.
Some may need extended repetition.
She smiles to him. Hmm. Somehow I am beginning to hope so.
We may need to think about strategy for our sewer excursion sooner or later.
Oh, right. That is true. That is true. Your the discipline of animalism. To what extent does it function? Is it control of them or simply communication?
At this stage, I can control. I can communicate.
Hmm.
I very much doubt I'll be able to control the rat kings, beasts as they seem to me to be of his creation and not organic.
Quite true. They are most likely Gould as well, which would
Which means
make
they only obey their master.
quite true. I should be able to clear quite a few of them, but well, strategy indeed. I do not think that the Nosferatu would appreciate us creating any cave-ins in the catacombs, even though that might, who knows, be a very valid way of doing this. Perhaps we can. Hmm, Perhaps it is worth considering what weapons we would bring. I am quite certain that there are some weapons that would be more useful against this swarm of rats. No?
Ford holds out his hand and sort of makes a clawing motion.
Hmm.
I have some useful weapons.
Quite so. But I mean, a sword would be something. But what about a hammer or a scythe or something to that effect? Rod sweeping along the floor would hit potentially more. Perhaps nets could be in use?
I have a feeling that we're going to be playing hide and seek.
Ah, well,
But nets are a good idea.
would slow them down, I hope. Depends on. Isn't there. I am a novice when it comes to animals and how they behave, but animals do eat their own, do they not?
If required, yes.
I suppose it is a moot point. You would have to bring them to a place where they would do such a thing. Bears to mind, though, that once one could perhaps do something that would begin to make them feast on each other with a few months. Well,
At some point, I'll bring you closer in touch with nature. But it will require time spent outside the city.
an excursion?
Mm. Some things you can only learn once the proper tools are applied.
Quite so. Quite so.
So, how do you plan on spending the rest of the evening?
Why? There was a. There is a couple of books I need to look into. But I suppose we could sit down and go over certain ideas you have for this rat problem. It does seem a pressing priority.
I think a few hours contemplation and study would be a good way to close the day's events.
Good. And she will just take you into her. Well, it is kind of her study, but clearly where there is a couple of books lying around, and there's two of them. There's one that's clearly like one that it's worn, but it's something that she's been reading quite clearly, and she will just take the two of them out, and she will fetch actually an inkwell and a pen and parchment, and she will just say, "Please sit. How is your penmanship?"
Better than most of my station, but not academic level.
What? Let us. Why don't you write down some of the things you think that should be rules for our little engagement. Perhaps it could be a standing order. I will have a look at them. We could discuss them.
He raises a brow.
Or your ideas.
For the Rat King.
And for the excursion to his lair. I'm assuming half the battle will be to not antagonize the Nosferatu as we go down there.
Not the easiest task in the world, as far as I know.
No. I do not believe my presence will be something that they enjoy.
As long as they keep a civil tongue, otherwise they won't be enjoying my presence either.
I do appreciate the Nosferatu. It is also sad that our clans have been at war for so long in the Holy Lands and Anatolia. Well, another clan with members who have so much to teach. And as Madeline begins to set up the writing desk and her herself beginning to read, unless Torvald has anything, I believe that this scene will come to a close.
Yes.
Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.